Aye.
Aye. We'll have to wait till he puts that out.
He's got recorded promotion.
Tom, are you involved in the sojourn this weekend?
I'm hoping.
Try number 3?
Yes.
Well, it's pretty high now, but it might go down.
Yep. I'm hoping.
Like in the right next to
Otherwise, it'll be icy next time.
Woodshop area.
They had over 100 people lined up for the last.
I heard that.
Yep.
That's great.
Yes.
They've been doing a lot of good PR work down there. So, yeah, I know. My wife teaches. She's a facilitator. Does the stream program.
We're waiting for you, Ted.
And she was complaining to me the weather this week is messing things up for her.
Terry made a motion and I seconded it.
Okay. Okay. Old business? Board meeting October 2nd, 2018. I guess that's when Crystal will be here to discuss her brief traffic presentation, about 20 minutes or so.
No, not traffic,
plan.
no.
No.
The comp plan.
Yeah.
Comp plan. Traffic Common Committee, October 18th. Planning Commission meeting, October 18th. Did we have any more discussion about the township building use? Or do we want to
Can I
table
just go
it
back
some
for a
more?
quick second? So traffic calming committee, is that happening or is that not happening? Or are we waiting?
Well, I think what you guys just said is on the 2nd, you're gonna tell us if there's something for us to
So
do.
then that
That's
we can
fine.
take that off.
Well, tentative, it's tentative.
All right.
And you're definitely gonna have a planning commission meeting.
I believe so. Yeah, I was planning on it.
Township building use. Any further discussion on that?
I didn't have any.
Nothing?
I think we still had to put together application form. So I had one
Did
question.
you did get I sent to you what my insurance company sent to you, right? I forwarded that to you.
Yeah, that's what we were waiting for.
We need to, I think one thing on the application form has to be, people have to sign a waiver, you know, if someone's playing around with a chair and breaks their leg, it's not our, you know.
So they're carrying liability insurance coverage, correct?
Yes.
They would have to as well, yes.
Or they just have to accept responsibility, but we need them to sign a waiver, what do you call that, so we're not responsible.
Limited liability.
I mean, unless the house burns down, I mean, unless the building burns down, it's our responsibility, but I mean, barring those kinds of things. And the other thing I wanted to ask about is, how much would it cost if they lose a key to replace the lock? Because I think we should require some form of a deposit.
What is it, 75 or $100?
Maybe at least.
Gotta be more than that.
I
What do
think
you
more
think?
than that.
250.
Yeah.
600.
That was the last time we had a change.
That sounds like a lot, but I mean, I'm just wondering if we should require some kind of, I mean, $600 is, no one's gonna wanna come and use the place, but require some kind of a deposit to make sure that as long as the place is the same way it is, you get your check back. I mean, thoughts?
Yeah, makes sense,
And what would?
250?
What would the reasonable amount be?
whatever it costs.
I mean, could little clubs pay that? I mean, what makes sense? I think you could write it into, the contract which they sign, that if they lose the key and we have to rekey, then they're responsible, but I don't think we can be asking them for a $600 deposit to use the room.
The other option you can do
They
is
got in
credit
this
card.
dilemma, and that's why they went with business hours, so.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up where we
We
are.
only meet during the day when there's
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
why,
So
that's
we
where,
have-
when they went through this years ago, that's where that's why we ended up where we're at with just
Right,
business
but I
hours.
mean, the yoga club meets at 9,
Yeah, they meet at
and the
night.
HOA meets at 9.
Yes, but the yoga club has a park board member, or
But
two.
she still has a key.
Yes, but that's a member of a township committee.
No, I know, but she still has a key and, oh, anyway, I'm just saying that, so do we not let people meet at night? Or do we require a higher,
There's, I know over in Harleysville, the senior center, routinely loans out their facilities at night, on the weekends. I'd have to call somebody and find out what they charge them, but they loan them the keys, and there's some provision, but I assume they're paying something. But, so I know it's done in the area.
Yeah, I was just
don't know
saying that
what-
they provide some kind of a deposit, like if the place is dirty, I'm thinking of something minimal, like $50, and they get the money back. But maybe you can put that in the application that they have to sign. If they lose the key and we have to rekey, this is the cost, so
Yeah.
they're aware of that. I don't think you can-
I just don't, are you familiar with any other municipal buildings that are being loaned out in the area?
I'm not.
Yeah,
No, but we can do some checking. I mean, not like Limerick, I think they built a big building over there.
Yes, they did.
I mean, they probably have a separate room by itself.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
But-
Taj Mahal.
yeah.
Hatfield has a big
But,
one,
It's on their sewage.
has a really big.
I mean, even if we had a night drop off into one of these walls for the key after they locked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have the box out
We have the
there.
night box.
We have the night box.
Yeah.
So the mailbox.
So maybe, I mean, Tom, what do you think? Could we put something in the application, just alerting people, like if you lose the key and we have to pay to
Absolutely.
rekey,
It's
they're
easy.
responsible and that's kind of like a contract? And maybe just ask for like $50, like, for cleaning it. But they'll get it back if the place is left the same.
Well, you
that's
should
what
put
I'm
some
saying.
kind of a deposit, yes,
Some
for
kind.
cleaning
Yeah,
or anything.
as long as the
It's-
place is the same as they
If
left, you get
after
the
an
money back.
inspection, it's deemed unacceptable, your $50 will be kept, and it'll be used for the cleaning and
Whatever.
restoration of the room.
Otherwise you get it back.
Right.
These $50 sound? I don't know.
Can you clean the place for $50?
I'd clean it for 50.
How about 45?
Bob?
Yeah, I think I heard somebody mention a couple months ago about changing the lock system anyway to an electronic key fob. So, I don't know how they work, but I mean, if we can get a hold of that person that's gonna give us the quote for that, maybe they can tell us what's involved in case, the key fob would have, like different people numbers are issued to that, so if they lose that, Kevin can reprogram it
Shut
saying,
down.
Yeah.
that can't be used, and then whatever the charge for the new fob would be, is what they would have to pay.
We mentioned that we were gonna look down that alley, but
That's a big expense too.
we're not gonna
so-
run down that alley right now.
Okay, I
But
just didn't know where you were.
We wanna look at it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And our women's club, we do have insurance, and we'd probably be glad to show you.
We're not worried about you guys, we just don't know what'll happen. You guys are good.
You have good
Yeah,
desserts.
I can vouch for desserts.
Women's Club days didn't come in at the right time.
Okay.
So, what do we decide?
I'll get with Tom and we'll write up something. I
think we have something already half
thought we do.
We're clearly close. We're really close.
And I did get something from our insurance about the release. I thought I'd sent that to you, if not, I'll do it again.
I'll take
I
it.
have it on record.
I think that's key, we wanna make sure people aren't doing goofy things and then suing us,
I
because
don't think I have
people have to sign a waiver.
I'll get it to you.
If you want a school trip or something.
Next is the EAC, Environmental Advisory Committee. You want any more further discussion
Just-
on that, or?
Just to clarify, Tom, you said you've already drafted up
Yeah,
an ordinance, so what would happen if we approve it today? Do we have to, what
it would have to be advertised.
and then, how long does that take?
Let me see what I have. I have the file. Yeah. We could rush it through by November 7th, I suppose.
That's a rush.
You have to advertise.
You have to advertise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I was asking, so it takes 30 days,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
I'm gonna
It's
make
up
some
to you.
comments. I did a ton of research, and I want to thank Rachel for giving a presentation on it. Did a ton of research. I think the ordinance itself is very similar to what a lot of other municipalities have in place.
Yeah.
In doing my research, I noticed that a lot of municipalities interpret the ordinance differently. They have different missions, different objectives, different goals. I think you would agree to that. I mean, it's dependent on what's going on. And I think if we were to pursue it, we as a board need to have a mission. for this EAC, and we talked a lot about the budget earlier today. Well, this could potentially have, or could potentially need a line item budget. So thinking more and more about it, I think it would be appropriate if Kevin, as township manager, reached out to 3 to 5 municipalities, asked them exactly what they have in place based on budget, based on responsibilities, based on mission, gives us a better understanding of what they're doing. Again, I've done my research, but I think him providing us with some more detailed report on what 3 to 5 in the area puts us in a position where we can better understand what we're getting into, what would be appropriate. And then this all ties in again with the budget, because we're going to be taking a look at the budget. And we have to know now if this is something that we might need to have a line item for if we do decide to pursue it.
Well, what kind of budget items would be required for an EAC?
Well, you take a look at some of the EACs in some of the areas, and I use the example of Tredyffrin Township. If you take a look at their EAC website, there's a page on the Tredyffrin Township's website. It's very detailed what they do.
Sorry, how big are they, just curious?
I don't know, I can't speak.
Different.
They're big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 20,000?
Oh, I don't know about that, but they're a good sized township.
Look at Upper Macungie.
15.
So it may not be comparable to us, but.
And that's why I'm asking. I think
Yeah,
Kevin
we
is
should look
in
at
a
some smaller,
situation where he can
yeah.
look at some that are more comparable to Lower Frederick, puts us into a better position where we know exactly what we want to have as our mission. And it puts us into a better area where we can have a better educated assumption moving forward, particularly when it comes to the budget. You did mention the grants too. I think that's an excellent idea. I appreciate Rachel giving that presentation. I did speak with her to get a better understanding of everything. But again, this puts us into a position where we know moving forward what we can expect, or what we hope to, if we decide to pursue it, what we hope to ask of them.
Yeah.
You guys think different?
Well, I don't have a problem with waiting to get more information, but I just want to throw in on the budget concept. It's my understanding that the EAC would be composed of people who have professional expertise in different areas. So rather than necessarily need to draw on someone, they would provide that for Rachel?
I'll give you an example. Yeah, so
For free.
Rachel.
I mean, they're not gonna pull in a.
So I'm not talking about
summary.
necessarily a fee for Carol doing some work,
Right.
for example. I'm talking about, well, if they decide, hey, we're looking at doing this, well, the same thing with traffic calming. We're taking a look at having no budget for this year, but we had still expended some money from your line
Oh,
item.
we
So
can
it puts
always
us
say
in a
no.
position where we know going ahead forward. Again,
Well-
something that I don't want to rush if we can get some better information on comparable municipalities in the area.
So I just want to throw out an idea, and this is something near and dear to my heart when I was on Park Board, is Colonial Park. And I know that we're not ready to start developing because we're waiting for more dirt or whatever, but I was, one of the things I personally would like to see the EAC work on is a plan for Colonial Park, so when we're ready to start moving, now that's something that's gonna happen one day anyway. There's gonna be something at Colonial Park, it's not just gonna stay empty forever. You're making a face.
Well, wouldn't that be the park
That's
board
the
to come up
parks
with a
board.
plan?
Yes, but EAC can provide input to the park board from a different perspective.
The park board's got a problem. They're tasked with so many things that are so different than managing our open space.
Like I said,
We have people that are really good at organizing movies and dances and Easter egg hunts and stuff like that. It has absolutely nothing to do with what an EAC would do.
Linda.
Thank you, Terry. Linda Jansen, Simmons Road. I guess my question or comment is for Carol and Rachel. When you gave your presentation at the last time, didn't you say that, you know, the EAC is whatever you make it? And did you not also indicate that some EACs actually submit some of the MS4 reports and things like that? So from a budgetary standpoint, it would be a lot more beneficial to the township if you had volunteers doing that than paying an engineer. So when you're saying, oh, it's going to cost us money, it is also going to save us money having an EAC.
True.
And so, that is just something else to consider. Even if they don't actually file the report, they could perhaps do some of the preliminary data gathering and things like that, and assist an engineer as a volunteer. So you're not spending hundreds of dollars an hour for a professional when it can be accomplished by township residents.
I don't disagree. All I'm asking for is a little bit of research done by Kevin so that he can get a better understanding of some comparable municipalities that he can share with the three of us. And again, I'm saying it very clearly, I don't disagree. I think it puts us in a little bit better position where we can help guide what the mission might be.
Now, would that have to be put into the ordinance, or the ordinance?
Most of these ordinances that I look at are very comparable to the same one that Rachel shared. I mean, it's a basic
Well, I
ordinance
think
that
it's
shares.
exactly
I
the
just
same
copied
one.
mine.
Yeah.
That's standard.
Yeah.
Every action of an EAC is usually guided by the board. And they can be self-sustaining. There are ones that do their own fundraisers, take donations. The grants are another way. And as I said originally, the way I understand it, usually they grow over time. So they start out no budget. If they want to do something, they receive a grant or come up with the funds some other way. And usually they do not need an engineer or someone else present because everything that's decided on would ultimately be by the board at a meeting. We would just give, it's a advisory committee, so we wouldn't be making any budgetary decisions within the EAC unless it was from outside funding.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck Geiser, North Ryford Road. I was just gonna recommend you look at New Hanover. I've been to some of their township meetings. I know they have similar issues to us. And in fact, Chuck just gave one of their volunteers an award for, collecting data. I think it was maybe pertinent to MS4 and doing some of the legwork. So I think they'd be a good candidate to look at.
They saved the township a really lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And another thing I think a lot of us are focused on is ensuring that future developments, are not doing things that will damage our township in terms of, are they cutting trees down they don't need to cut down, or things like stormwater management. So I think having another set of eyes on some of these issues will be useful.
Wow.
Bob Burns, Interville Road. I just want to expand on how Chuck was saying, for Kevin to call other townships, if we could also expand that, not just under the EAC, but also under the traffic calming. And then the one question that I brought up, which is, I think, our most important one of all, is how we handle permits and permit fees. Because, we keep hearing that Dave Wallace and Kevin and everybody else is working on trying to get this stuff done, and, I know you guys might not agree with me, but I believe we lost money over it at Ragusa already. So if we've got these other developers coming in, I don't want to lose that money. So if, Kevin's going to get a lot more out there than me doing research and other people doing research to bring it to you guys. So if he can call there, Limerick and New Hanover are two that are doing a lot of development, obviously, that's going to be able to give us guidelines as to what we're charging.
Yeah, just if I can jump in on that issue, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, is that a lot of that is now in Bonnie's lap, and Bonnie, because of the absence of a bookkeeper, has had to take on some of the responsibilities, like doing payroll, so she has less time to do her job, and that has meant that she's had to push that project kind of to the bottom of the pile.
All three of us are actually working on the permit fees.
Yeah, so,
When we get a chance, we come in here and kind of spread everything out here and try to work in here and do it.
Right, but I'm just saying, I think the biggest part of it is, and like, you can go on Limerick, and Limerick doesn't give it to you, so you have to call somebody over there.
Right.
So if I call somebody at Limerick, and he calls somebody from Limerick, they're gonna answer him, because he's the township manager.
Right.
And since I don't live in the township, they're just gonna blow me off.
Right.
So, he's gonna get a lot more power, and if he's already calling and asking questions about the EAC,
Just ask
I mean,
him.
he already asked a question to Perkiomen Township, and he got the write-up from them, how they're traffic calming, so we already have that from them. So I'm just saying, while he's making the phone call, he could take care of 3 birds at one time, and boom, done.
I think it makes sense.
Larry Cohen, Mine Hill Road. I've actually done a little bit of checking around, asking commissioners and supervisors and people who live in some of these areas. And one thing that's come back is that they kind of regretted that they didn't have an EAC earlier. That's kind of a noteworthy point.
I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it. I think there's some thoughts in this room that are behind that. I'm not. I just want more information about comparable municipalities. I hope everybody can understand. Thank you. Well, I just want, again, I'm trying to make it very clear.
So you'll add that to next week's agenda as well?
I'll see how far I can get.
Yeah.
We're still on public agenda, I have one last comment.
We're not.
No,
we're
it's
not-
not.
Not there yet, okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Oh, I have one piece of new business.
Yeah, Ernie's first.
Oh, sorry.
No,
No, no,
public.
we're not-
We're
okay,
not
I
there
have
yet.
new
We got the
business.
new business.
I have one piece of new business if you don't have anything, Kevin.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure it's new business, but I wanted to bring up, at the planning commission meeting, which some of you went to, Chuck brought up doing a code of conduct
Oh.
for all of the committees, the official committees.
Appointed things, yeah.
Were you referring to
Well, I mean, the
just planning commission and zoning?
thing that I pulled up was just written for planning commission and zoning hearing, but it's
Okay.
appropriate for any appointed.
Well, probably,
committee.
probably those two are the most key, so how do you want to proceed on that? Do you need us to do anything, or what?
I just pulled up a template that was done by, it was like University of Michigan Outreach, where they put together a template for townships who were thinking about doing such a thing. And I put it out there as a starting place. And then Joe Zlomek told me that DVRPC, I think, has a more comprehensive code of conduct and to look there. And then the other township had something to do with like social media. And, you know, the idea is what's expected when you're on a board. I mean, you know, you are representing the township. And,
I agree.
so this was just a starting point. I'm not obviously a lawyer or an expert in the area, but so that was something that, you know, I think Joe Zlomek thought it was a great idea. Other people have said they thought it was a good idea. That
There should be.
something that you
I
give to
agree, there
people.
should be.
Yeah.
Because you have someone on the board and they get out of turn somewhere talking or saying something, you know, it could get us in trouble. Linda?
Linda Jansen, Simmons Road. I read over the document and it's very good and I agree with everything that's on there. But it's everybody affiliated with the township would need to sign that. Because you can't just single out one, like the planning commission and everything. And to hold your appointed officials to a higher standard than the elected officials are held to is kind of a conflict. In other words, the supervisors would also have to sign it. Now, yes, I know you take an oath of office, and when I was an auditor, I took the same oath of office. But
The state has imposed codes of conduct on the supervisors.
But this document was more binding than what the state has imposed upon it.
No.
It doesn't say.
You violate the state, you've committed
Well,
fraud.
this is actually saying that we have a duty to the township. But the problem is, I think the message that was being lost is our duty is really to the residents. You know, we are elected and appointed to represent the residents of the township. And so to say that you're not allowed to speak out at meetings and comment on things like that, it's almost
I don't think it's